I'm Marty Cohn, and welcome to episode 9 of Rotary Cares, the monthly show that tells you everything you want to know about Rotary International. Rotary is a global network of 1.2 million neighbors, friends, leaders, and problem solvers that come together to make positive, lasting change in communities at home and abroad. Established over 110 years ago, Rotary now has 35,000 plus clubs all over the world. Rotary's motto is service above self, and Rotarians adhere to a 4-way test, an ethical guide for Rotarians to use in their personal and professional lives. The test has been translated into 100 languages. Of the things we think, say, or do, is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned? In Brattleboro, there are 2 Rotary clubs. The Brattleboro Rotary Club meets on Thursdays for lunch at the American Legion, and the Brattleboro Sunrise Club meets for breakfast on Wednesdays, also at the American Legion. Today, we will be discussing passing the gavel, a time when a club president steps down. The Rotary year starts on July 1st and ends on June 30th. So this is a time of transition. Today, we have 2 past presidents. Our first guest will be Roger Miller, a past president from the Brattleboro Rotary Club, and then Will Shakespeare, a past president from the Brattleboro Sunrise Club. Welcome, Roger.
Thank you, Marty.
So let's start out with a real tough question. How long have you been involved with Rotary?
Marty, I joined Rotary in 1961, so I'm coming up on my 58th year this fall.
That is fantastic. Now, let's see, I know this is going to test your memory going back this far, but why did you join?
I was brand new in town. I just started a business. I didn't know, literally didn't know anybody. And one of my customers approached me and said, wouldn't you like to come and visit a Rotary Club with me and meet some new people? And I thought that'd be a great idea. I actually joined because, as I said, I was new in town. I had a wish to make new friends, meet people, and this seemed to be the perfect avenue to do that.
That is fantastic. Now, you were club president from 1972 to 1973.
That's correct.
What do you remember, what goals did you set for yourself when you became president?
Well, being so old, it's hard to remember way back then.
And I respect my elders, Roger.
But I do recall that it occurred to me that there were a number of Rotary clubs in the area, and that we didn't have a great deal of contact with them. So one of my primary goals was to see to it that our Brattleboro Rotary Club, and at that time there was only the one club in Brattleboro, that we had an opportunity to make some connections with a Rotary Club in Bellows Falls, a Rotary Club in Keene, New Hampshire, and there was one in Greenfield, Mass, and even Turners Falls, Mass. So I saw to it that we had some joint meetings with those clubs, and they became very popular and very successful, I think, particularly as a social avenue in which we could meet up with other Rotarians in nearby towns.
Wow, that's so bringing Rotarians together. That's a good goal. Now, reflecting back, do you have any? What are some of the memories that you have from your year as president?
Well, as I said a moment ago, these joint meetings with other clubs were quite memorable. A lot of fun. Not a whole lot of business got transacted, but we were able to meet and become friendly with a number of other people. Another thing that is a good memory for me is that when we Rotary International held a conference in Florida every year at the beginning, just prior to the beginning of the Rotary year, which starts in June. And there would be Rotarians coming from all over the world to the United States. And back during the early years of my membership in Rotary, there was an effort made for our local club in Brattleboro to invite Rotarians from worldwide locations to come and spend 3 or 4 days with us in Brattleboro, just prior to the conference that they were going to in Florida. And that was a very enjoyable time, certainly for me, and I know a number of other members of our club, because we would have guests, usually a Rotarian and his wife, would come and spend 3 or 4 days in Brattleboro, and we would be touring them around the area and introducing them to the United States, if you will, just before they went to their conference in Florida.
Wow, so you made a lot of worldwide contacts that way.
We did, and as a matter of fact, a number of those Rotarians have remained friends throughout the years.
That is fantastic. So you had your year as president, and then you become the immediate past president. And by the way, does that mean that did you have to do the Christmas tree sales? Because that's one of the honors that we give our past presidents.
What you're referring to is that you become, immediately after being president, you become chairman of the Christmas tree sales program. Marty, this is true confession time, and at that time, we did not have the Christmas tree. I told you I was old.
Oh my goodness gracious.
We did not have Christmas tree sales, so I missed that opportunity.
Well, you know what? I know that there's a lot of presidents that would be more than happy to give you that opportunity. All right, so you know, you remember back, you know, those are great memories, but you're still a member. So,
yes.
So what have you done? What have you done for the club lately, Roger? you know, what happened after you were president?
Through my involvement in Rotary, I did become very interested in the international exchange programs that Rotary sponsors. And one of the largest exchange programs that Rotary does every year is an event called Group Study Exchange. Mm-hmm. So after the presidency of the Brattleboro Rotary Club, I became active in district activities, and for a number of years I was chairman of this Group Study Exchange program. During my years, we sent a group of six or seven young professionals between the ages, I'd say, of 25 and 30, professionals who went to a foreign country and spent maybe a month studying their own profession and how it is relative in a foreign country.
Wow.
Through that program, and then young professionals from that country would come to our district and would be hosted by our district here in southern Vermont, southern New Hampshire. So through that program, I was involved in sending groups of young professionals to places like Poland, India, Italy, Nigeria, Venezuela, a number of different countries, and I felt that I seemed to have an affinity and a love for this exchange program, and I stayed with that for 6 or 7 years.
Wow, that's fantastic. Now, again, you've seen a lot of changes since your year, 1972 to 1973. What's the biggest change you've seen?
The biggest change I've seen is obvious when you come into a Rotary meeting. When I first joined, it was men only. And for many years now, Rotary has been a men and women's organization. That's the biggest change I've seen, and I have to say it's much for the better.
I totally concur with you on that. So Roger, last question for you. What is the best thing for you about being a Rotarian?
Oh, I think the best thing is probably the lasting friendships that I have made throughout the years. Some of my best friends were and continue to be Rotarians who I usually see every week, but then again, we do a lot of things together that are not involved in Rotary.
That's great. Well, Roger, thanks for taking the time to be on the show, and also thanks for not singing trailers for
well, wait,
sale.
But wait, you promised.
We'll be right back with our guest, Will Shakespeare, who will not be reciting anything from Richard III. But first, this brief message from Rotary International, doing good in your community, doing good in the world. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Rotary Cares, a monthly show that tells you everything you want to know about Rotary and more. Our guest is Will Shakespeare, a past president of Brattleboro Sunrise Rotary Club. Welcome, Will.
Thanks, it's good being here, Marty.
All right, so Will, how long have you been a Rotarian?
Well, I actually have to go back and look at my calendar, but I think it was about 2000 that I started, so it's about 18 years now.
Wow.
And so it feels like it was just yesterday when I was invited, but there it is.
Okay, so I'm going to tax your memory a little bit, but going back 18 years, but it's less than what Roger had to do. Why did you join?
Well, I had come to the community. It was a new community to me. I moved from the Boston area, and I had a friend, John Penfield, who has been a Rotarian for a number of years in the community, and he's a personal friend and member of the family. And John said, you know, you really should be involved in the community, and one of the greatest ways of really becoming involved is being a Rotarian. And he said, there's a great new club that we've started, our second one. It's a breakfast club on Wednesday morning. You have to get up at 7:30, be there at 7, so. But he said, you'd be a great member. You interested? And I said, well, I've got to learn a little bit more about it. So they actually had a breakfast of potentially new Rotarians, and it gave us a little history about what is Rotary about, Rotary International, and the role of polio and local initiatives. I was very impressed, and I just really liked the people that were there. So I said, yeah, I'll try it out.
Wow, that's actually a really good idea to kind of to bring new members together. So 7 years later, roughly, 2007 to 2008, you became president of the Brattleboro Sunrise Rotary Club.
Gulp.
Yeah, that's 10 years ago, in case you're counting.
Yeah,
so do you remember, what goals did you set for yourself when you became president?
Great question, because Rotary has this amazing way of preparing potential presidents almost 2 years in advance. You got your president, you got your president-elect, and then you have your kind of vice president who's going to be in there too. So they sent us all off to what we call PETS, President-Elect Training Program. And they did a remarkable job of really kind of rolling out what do you need to prepare yourself to really be a leader of your group and your community and have some ideas, because you're looking at local community issues, you're looking at international issues. And one of the areas that they really said is you got to have some kind of a strategic plan, even if it's just for the year, but that plan could be carried over and passed on to the next generation. So one of the things I tried to do right after our PETS and when I first came on board is, let's have a strategic planning process, but let's make it fun. So I had a barbecue and a thing at home, and people came and started talking about the different issues that we were struggling with in Rotary. Membership was big. The diversity of membership was an issue. Our involvement in local community affairs, and also our involvement with more international issues. So we really wanted to put together a plan and steps of how do we address each of those. So that was one piece. Some of the specific ones that came out of that is, quite honestly, we were in a phase where our membership was declining, our membership was aging, and the diversity, the gender diversity was there, but the diversity of occupations and ideas and was not as robust as it is today. So we basically said, let's have membership a significant focus this year. We also looked at developing our community service activities. And we also said, let's figure out what we can do on an international basis. Right then, the Rotary International was very involved with polio and the eradication. So those were kind of our three primary areas for that particular period.
So those were lofty goals, yes. For sure. So when you think back, 10 years ago, what were some of the memories from that year? Aside from having the barbecues and all that good stuff, but
I think what we ended up doing is, yes, we did really put an effort into let's build some membership, but let's make this intentional membership, not just I'll be a member on occasion. We want people who are really going to be committed to not just showing up each week, but to really being an integral part of this volunteer group and interacting with each other on that weekly breakfast, but volunteering for all of the many different projects and being actively involved. And I think that's part of what we tried to sell is this is an active involvement club.
By the way, there's a name for that. They call them rhinos, Rotary in name only.
Oh, yes.
Just a little piece of trivia about Rotary.
That's exactly, I think it was used then, is let's not be rhinos, let's actually be workers.
That's it.
So that was one. The other one that struck me is I came in July to pick up the baton, went through the entire year, and then in April there is a district meeting of all of our district, not unlike the international, but on a much smaller scale. Happened in Lake Placid in New York. All of our district sent their folks there. And it was absolutely eye-opening in terms of the international work, the group exchange programs, the student exchange programs. Just phenomenal and energy. And I said to our group when I came back, I said, this is a phenomenal experience, but I should have had this last year. Because it would have set the frame going forward to here's the inspiration you need and here are the potential kind of activities and projects you could be involved with. So that's one of the things I pushed. I'm not sure we necessarily did it, but it's a great way to top off the end of the year.
Well, it's always nice getting together with other Rotarians and hearing about what's going on. It is somewhat, it is inspirational. It's kind of fun to kind of share those stories. So what happened after 2007, 2008, after you were president? What have you done? What have you done for us lately?
Oh, sat back and just let everything flow through. I think I continued as the chair of the membership committee because I was invested in seeing us build our club, but not just build it with numbers and maintain the diversity of the genders, but also looking at, there are a lot of people who are doing many things. There are lawyers and accountants and insurance folks, but we also have a number of other fields that might be interested. And we kind of continued that philosophy and built a pretty strong committee to work on that. So now we have a farmer who is actively involved in Rotary. They're used to the early hours, so that's great. We have people involved in community activities, the strolling of the heifers, from the Brattleboro Retreat. So I think we've diversified who. We also have, I think, a new generation that we had not had before. Younger people. We had a student Rotarian who had been in high school, and we have a program where our high school, 3 or 4 students come through the year every morning and have that breakfast. And she was such a committed Rotarian when she was a junior and a senior in high school. She continued as an adult Rotarian at 20, going to college, now 21.
Let me just tell you,
know
Bethany Martin was
Martin.
a star, was one of the stars of Rotary Cares. We did a segment on her. That's fantastic, and that's really great how you brought in a younger generation.
And we want to do that with all of our student members to just show them this is just the start of something, not at the end of the school year. It's up to you to continue. We would like to see us move forward with a school-based program as well. So
again, with the luxury of being able to look back with a decade of experience, what other changes have you seen in the club? Aside from bringing in these new members, the farmer and... I think the community service is a huge commitment that in many ways grounds us all and inspires us all. So we might be doing car washes or painting of our local swimming pool, shower house, or building fences around areas. So I think that's been wonderful, and the engagement and participation has been awesome. We have a fundraiser that raises quite a bit for kids going off to college, our 3-on-3 basketball tournament. It's been going on for 15 years or so. But it is getting harder to do fundraising and maintaining that kind of new, cutting-edge, interesting activities that can help us sustain some of our programs. But we've gotten some new ways of approaching that. We do a lot of grilling for different organizations. Our Touch a Truck program out at Brattleboro Memorial Hospital, we do all the grilling, and we do this every year. Have been doing it for quite a while. It's you're very visible. You're wearing your blue T-shirts.
Yes.
The Brattleboro Rotary Club has yellow T-shirts, so we just but the other thing that I think is really, Roger touched on this in his year of having these mixers, and I think that having our two clubs work together on some of these projects, we've had some recent success with that, and hopefully that's something that will continue.
Yeah, again, we've gotten new, we actually put that in our strategic plan back 10 years ago.
Oh my goodness.
And we did have some joint barbecues and some joint project review sessions. But we are still maintaining those. We have a disc golf committee with Rob Spila and Josh Traeger, who are representing each of our clubs, and every year, or even twice a year, we'll go out and do trail cleaning and do a little tournament between us, which is fantastic. And we all get to know each other.
It's great, and especially when you think about the fact that between the two clubs, there's over 100 Rotarians. That's a lot.
Absolutely.
For our little Brattleboro. So last question for you.
Yep.
What's the best thing for you about being a Rotarian?
For me, it has opened my eyes to how rich a community we have. It has offered me the opportunity to make lifelong friends, as Roger said, that I never would have met before unless I needed a lawyer or a dentist or an insurance agent. Now, I don't need any of those right now, but they are great friends, and that friendship has been built by sitting down together every week and having breakfast, and then working on one of these community service projects and delivering food to teenagers or folks. So it has grounded me in my community and given me a sense of ownership, participation, and engagement in this community that no other experience probably could. And that's the essence of being a member of a community, is really being invested in a part of it. So Rotary does that for me.
Well, Will, thanks so much for taking the time to be on the show.
It has been a great pleasure.
I would like to thank our guests, Will Shakespeare and Roger Miller, and a shout out to Sunrise Rotarian Kevin Yeager, who's doing all the magic behind the camera. Also like to thank BCTV and especially Brian Bashaw for helping us bring this show to you. If you have any questions, concerns, or even an idea for a show, send an email to info@BrattleboroRotaryClub.org, info@BrattleboroRotaryClub.org. We actually read all of those emails. I'm Marty Cohn. Thanks for watching.